Here we're going to show you just how easy it is to use reflective ultraviolet light instead of having to use basic yellow 40 or fluorescent dyes just for everyday superglue processing. So the sample we have here that we're looking at live on the screen, this is what it looks like under standard white light. We'd normally need to apply fluorescent powders as a means of being able to see the fingerprints over the difficult backgrounds. All I'm going to do here is change the filters on the camera, change the wavelength of illumination to see a completely different image. So we're changing from visible to long wave ultraviolet. We put the ultraviolet light onto our surface. Straight away, we can see our fingerprints. So we can then adjust the lighting in the software. We can capture the image. We can see it's very bright ultraviolet because it's long wave UV. It's giving us a nice clear image. There's our image in colour on the screen. We can simply drop it into black and white. Maybe use the standard fluorescent tools that we have here for fairly bright fluorescence. So we can use this enhance, which again gives us this brightness in the background. Pull this down a little. And that's done. Without needing to apply any additional powders or processes, we have our superglue mark on the screen, ready for identification. And that's the first sample. Let's look at a few more. We're going to just show you a few going through purely from live to UV without actually capturing the image itself. So we're just working in live. We're going to take off the UV filter, change to standard visible imaging, looking at white light, and this time we have just a standard sample here that we can see under white light. Under white light, we have a background pattern. We can see it's a plastic surface. We see almost nothing at all. So we're going to change, nice and easy, from visible into ultraviolet. We turn on our UV light source, and straight away, there's the first fingerprint. There's the second fingerprint. So without any fluorescent dye, using the system as a searching tool for fingerprints, not just photography, but to actually find the developed fingerprints. You can see as I move the angle of light, the fingerprints change. So we could even look at this mark here, which isn't as clear as the previous mark. If we click this into preview, we can now see the image. We can see it has a background pattern, one which is very easy to remove with Fourier transform. It's that easy to see a fingerprint. Normally, a surface like this would be treated with basic yellow 40. If we look at yet another sample, this time we have a standard plastic bag that would be damaged if we treated it with an alcohol-based dye. Very likely to remove the surface. So if we view this one in visible light, under white light, this is all we're currently seeing. You can see little bits of glue at the bottom here, lots of background pattern. So we're going to change to our ultraviolet. And now with the ultraviolet switched on, we can simply scroll around. The background disappears. We even have a whole section of palm here. If we click into preview, we can see all of the sections of palm. We can see a little background pattern, which is again easy to remove with the Fourier transform. So it's very, very easy to use reflective ultraviolet, replacing the chemical process and making it much faster to produce better quality fingerprint images. So the sample we're going to look at here has been treated with cyanoacrylate, and we're going to show you how it can benefit from reflective ultraviolet, but it can also benefit from the use of the natural 2 powder that fluoresces in the infrared. Now, the sample that we're looking at is an aluminium surface. It's very reflective. It's actually from a medical container. It contained tablets. So the surface isn't flat. It has these marks and grooves in the surface. It also has text running through the background as well. We have a fingerprint here and here with all the text running through the background. And this is what it looks like under visible light. I'm now going to change the light and we'll see what it looks like under reflected ultraviolet light. So if we remove visible pass filters and change to the ultraviolet filters, under ultraviolet light, we can still see the text running through the image. We can see the fingerprints much clearer. We're not getting the reflections that we were from the surface, but we can still see the black text, and we can also see these diagonal lines or indentations in the surface through the fingerprint as well. We're going to take a preview of that so you can see it. There you have now the slightly higher resolution version with the text running through the background. But we're now going to remove the ultraviolet filter, and we're going to view the natural 2 in the infrared part of the spectrum. So we've applied the powder to the cyanoacrylate. If we then switch on the light, we'll put this back into live, and we're putting a infrared filter in front of the lens. We've adjusted the settings using the software. Previously the lighting was here. We can auto adjust the lighting in the software. Let's make that a little brighter. So now what you notice is that the text running through the image has almost completely disappeared, as have the diagonal lines running through the image as well. And if we preview this one, we now have the higher resolution version of our image. We can see the text has more or less completely disappeared, and we have the fingerprints. In fact, using the software here, if we go back, this was our ultraviolet image. You can see the text and you can see the pattern running through the image. If we change to the natural 2 infrared powder, we've now dropped out all of the background and we've got much clearer cyanoacrylate fingerprint impressions.